Hello everyone, and welcome back to our How To YouTube channel. Today I have myself a running toilet. In this case, you could call it a leaky toilet or a running toilet. What's happening is the water inside the tank is reducing because of a leak somewhere, and the refill valve is turning on and replenishing that water supply back up every few minutes. So that's literally draining money down the drain because your water is going down and then it's refilling constantly and doing that over and over again throughout the day and night. So I'll show you how to fix this issue. Luckily, we don't have to touch the bowl or anything inside the bowl of the toilet where all the business gets done. We just touch whatever's inside the tank and hopefully you'll fix the issue. Now, and there it is, you can hear it's refilling right now as we speak because the water level got too low. So, just a little bit of what a toilet is made up of. Here's the flush valve, or the flush that you use to empty out the water from the tank. It goes into the toilet and washes everything away. Also, underneath we have a supply line from the wall. In my case, I have a local shutoff valve, which is very convenient. If you don't have that, I recommend you install that or get a plumber to install that. That way you could turn off the water supply right here at the toilet tank without having to turn off the water supply to your entire home, which would be a nuisance, meaning you can use any other appliance that uses water if you had to shut this off. So here in my case, I could just shut this off and only the toilet water would be shut off. Everywhere else in my home I could use anything I want, like my sinks and my other toilets. Up the supply line, it gets attached to the refill valve by underneath the toilet here. So one of the places where the water can leak out is basically this interface between the refill valve and the tank. What happens is this nut here, it tightens up against the refill valve inside the tank, and over time it may loosen up so water can come out of the seal over here. All you have to do is you have to feel around, see if anything is wet here, and if it's not wet, this is not the source of your leak. So in my case, this is all pretty much dry. So my refill valve is okay. It's not leaking. It's tight. It's nice and tight. It's not moving around. So we're good here. If it was leaking here, you simply need to tighten this part here so that your refill valve is reseated and it has a nice seal between the tank and this nut here. And no need to buy anything. You just tighten this guy up. So what's the other issue that could be leaking? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my toilet tank and show you what the other issue might be. And this is the most likely cause. And there's the inside of my toilet. So what we see here, take this off my tripod for a moment, is we have the refill valve, which is right here. It goes straight down, and you can see it goes to the bottom of the tank. And on the other side is that nut that I showed you earlier. So that's definitely not it because we touched it underneath and there's nothing going on in between there. Here's the water supply line. It goes to the over tube valve. That's not the source of the leak because there's nothing that can go up. The water's not coming up and into there, so it's not overfilling. But if you look inside, look at that. My flapper valve is broken. Looks kind of messy, but right there you could see that it's kind of broken up. Now, before we move on, let me just tell you, the water in this tank is super clean. You don't have to worry about it. Nothing that you do in the toilet bowl ever touches this water. This is fresh, clean water from the supply line. It's as clean as the water that comes out of your kitchen faucet. If you have a water dispenser from your fridge, it comes out of there. Everything that cold water comes out from, this is the exact same water. So it's nice and clean. You don't need to worry about bacteria or anything in this. You could use your bare hands if you wanted to, which is what I'm going to do today. But if you guys are not okay with touching this water, you can always use gloves, or that's the other. Or if you're not okay with touching this water with your bare hands, just put on some gloves and you should be fine. Again, nothing to be worried about. Just you can use your bare hands and antibacterial soap afterwards and you should be fine. So our issue is with that flapper. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to take this flapper out, go to our local hardware shop and get the exact same replacement for it. As you can see, just turn back on. As you can see, the flapper itself is kind of not seated evenly with the opening underneath it. So basically the water is seeping in between the flapper and the water is going out. With this particular one, I could have easily moved this in place, but because the little pivot point on the flapper is kind of broken there, we're going to need to replace this. The other issue this might be for other people is that the flapper itself, the actual rubber might be totally degraded. It's not keeping a seal, so you might have to replace it anyways. These things are cheap, so you might as well just replace that flapper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the valve underneath. I'm going to need to empty the water, but before we do that, I'm going to put a time lapse in here and just see exactly how long it takes for my toilet to empty. So right now, I shut off the valve. There's no water going to come into the tank anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put time lapse and see how long it takes for the entire tank to actually empty out. And then we'll take out the flapper, go to the hardware store, buy a new one, and install a new flapper. Okay, so as you can see, it took about 20 minutes for the entire tank to empty without the refill valve on. So that basically means my tank was emptying, if I let it go all day, 3 times every hour, or 72 times in the entire day. And this is a 1.6 gallon tank, so basically 1.6 times 72. It's more than 100 gallons the entire day. If I don't fix this, and leave it like this all day, if someone else doesn't flush it, basically if someone comes in and flushes it, you see it could have moved out of the way, different ways could have moved out. So yeah, so it's a lot of water being wasted and a lot of money being wasted. Now let me show you, obviously I don't want you to think that you'd have to wait for it to empty by itself with the leak, because obviously the leak can be slower. For most people, hopefully it is slower so that you're not wasting that much. So I'm just refilling the tank right now, and all you have to do is just flush the toilet with the water supply being off, and it'll empty the tank by itself. For the interest of the video, I'm just refilling my tank, and yes, it's a waste of water, but I just want to show you the different ways of emptying your tank. Shouldn't take too long. So the tank is filling up, the refill valve is open, so all the water is coming out of the refill valve, and you'll see this float. What it does is it comes up to a certain level, and once it comes to a certain level, it shuts off the valve and it stops the water from coming in. And that's what's basically activating the refill valve. When the water level reduces, the float goes down to a certain point, it turns on the valve so it comes back up and starts closing the valve. So if you guys don't want to wait for it to empty out by itself, you turn off the water supply like I just did, and just push the flush valve, leave it open until the water empties. And because the refill valve is shut off, the supply line is shut off, it's not going to refill. So all we have to do now is take out this flapper valve, this defective flapper valve, and take it to our favorite hardware store and ask someone there to match it up so we get a equivalent valve so that you can install it. So here we go with my bare hands again. There's hardly any water in here, and if there is some water in there, that's okay. It will either go back into the toilet tank or nothing will happen to that. So all we have to do is we pull it out. All it is, that's all it is. Oh, look at that. It just broke. So this has been around for a long time. So you see the chain, it's hooked up to the flapper arm. All you have to do is you take it out you'll see multiple holes in here. Just remember what hole it's in and take it out just like that. You see that this has been degrading for some time. It's pretty much busted up, broken up. The rubber is all gone underneath, discolored. So we're just going to take this one, and the important thing to remember is basically the diameter of this and the length between the two arms. Mine is kind of broken off, so we could kind of eyeball it, or the person at the hardware store will know exactly what I need. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting it in a plastic baggie, so we don't have to worry about all that stuff getting all over the place. And you take it to the hardware store like that, seal it up, buy the replacement valve, and we'll be good to go. At this time, you may want to clean up the tank a little bit. All the black stuff you see in my tank here seems to be probably worn out rubber, so I'll probably clean that out before I actually replace the flapper valve. And yes, it gets all over your hand, so you may want to put on gloves, but again, soap and water will take this out. So we'll come back after we get the replacement flapper. Okay everyone, and we're back. So we took a trip to the hardware store and we matched up our old one with the new one. This is what we have. We have a universal seal. It's about 2 inches. And what I did is I just took the old one and I put it on top of it here, and I just matched up, make sure the bulb is the same size, and make sure the spacing between the two handle areas here are the same size. The spacing is very important, and the bulb size is very important. If you get too big of a bulb, the flapper won't sit properly. If you get too small and your drain is bigger, obviously it's not going to seal properly. And of course, if the handles are wider or narrower, then you won't be able to install it properly either, and it won't sit properly. So without further ado, let's get this installed, and hopefully it'll fix everything. Let me take this filler hose out of the way to show you what we have in terms of a installation on this thing. So there are 2 hooks, one on this side, and there's one similar one on the other side where the handles will install on. So you could see the, let me take it out. So here it is, nice red rubber. This one says it's 5-year warranty, so I mean, if anything happens in 5 years, I just call up this company, I guess, and they'll send me a new one. But this was only $5 at the hardware store, so I mean, $5 is not a big deal when it comes to everything. If you get a plumber out to do this, they'll charge you about $70-80 minimum, I guess, just to change out a $5 piece of material, right? And then on top of that, if your leak is at the actual filler valve, again, $70-80 just for tightening up the screw. Of course, what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, you need a new filler valve, or you need a whole entire assembly. They won't just say, oh, you need a new flap. I mean, the honest ones would, but I mean, they're in it to make some money and to also, you know, do bigger jobs, not the smaller jobs. So this is a small job, you can do it. So obviously, here's the flap. This bulb part goes into that hole that's over there, that goes into the toilet once it flaps open. And here are the 2 handles that we just installed, and I'll show you how to install them. So basically, you have this hole, and you put it on top, and you just put it on top, and you slide it over. Same with the other side. And there you go. Fits perfectly. And then you just hook up. We want this nice and taut. So what we want to do is we want to adjust the chain to be nice and taut. So probably around that one there. What happens is if the chain is too loose or if it's too tight, your flapper won't open all the way, or won't stay open all the way. So that seems like it's a bit loose still. So what we'll do is we'll adjust this. Maybe put it down here to this one. Alright, so let's turn on the valve and let's see what happens. So, oh, don't forget, I took out this filler tube. If the valve were to turn on like this, the water's going to spray out everywhere, so we need to put that back properly. So this one specifically goes on like that, and we're going to turn on the water supply and turn this off. Turn on 90 degrees. So good, I think. Okay, so what happened last time before we cut back in here is that this was too tight. So it wasn't closing up, and so it wasn't filling up with the water. So I loosened it a bit, and now it's filling up with water. Let's see how it goes. It's filling up. All right, and then press it. Off again. It's filling up, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to leak out again. We just replace the lid up, and then we should be good to go. Oh, I should just take advantage of this. And there we go. We have our toilet fixed. It's not going to run anymore. And we saved ourselves a lot of money by not flushing our water down the toilet by itself or calling in a plumber. We did it all by ourselves for $5 and just probably 10-15 minutes of your time. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you want to, but if you do, I'd like you to leave a comment and just let me know why it's a thumbs down. Maybe I did something wrong, maybe I said something incorrectly, or there's just a better way of doing it, but please share with us. Anyways, until next time, hopefully you learned something. Have a good one. See ya.